Thank you. And I was like, maybe people know the story, but it's a pretty crazy story. So tonight, if you will, I want us to go on a little journey together. We're going to start from the beginning of my career and then go all the way until now. So everything will be in chronological order. And I don't know if any of you know the story of how I started working in the business. I'm sure for those of you who might have been to any of my concerts before, but for those of you who don't know, when I was 8 years old, just a regular little 8-year-old who was pretty outgoing, but not as outgoing as you might think. I became more Rachel Berry later in life. But when my mom was a nurse, my dad owned a deli. I was born in the Bronx. We were living in a small town in New Jersey at the time. And I had a friend of mine, actually there's a girl here tonight named Chloe and her mother's name is Lori, but not the people from this story. But I had a dear friend, her name was Chloe, and her mother's name was Lori. And my parents did well, but her parents did very well, and they could afford to take Chloe to see Broadway shows all the time, and they were kind enough to let me tag along. So when I was 8, the first show that they took me to was to see Cats, and I remember being very scared. The second show that they took me to was a show called Camelot, and I fell asleep. And then the third show they took me to go and see was Phantom of the Opera. And it was at that show, and it was in that theater, where it was like my eyes opened up to musical theater. It was like I was put under a spell in that moment, and my life has never been the same since. Her mother, Lori, bought me the CD, and I went home and listened to it over and over and over again. A few weeks later, there was an open call in our hometown for the Broadway show Les Mis, and Chloe was determined to get the part. This was her dream, and her mother was going to take her to the audition, and she was going to get it and, be on Broadway. And the night before, her mother called my mother and said that her father had a heart attack. He's fine. But she said, please, please take Chloe to this audition. It's her dream. And my mom said, of course. My mom said, oh, tomorrow we're gonna go and take Chloe to this, that audition that she's been wanting to do. And I said, well, I'm auditioning too. And then my dad, he's here somewhere. He was like, famous words, Leah, you can't sing. You're not a good singer. But you're a really good dancer. Super wrong. Super wrong. But I decided to tag along for fun, and I went in the room and I sang a song from Phantom of the Opera. I had no sheet music for the piano player, and I sang this song. I sang, where in the world have you been hiding? Really, you were perfect. I only wish I knew your secret. Who is this new tutor? And then I think I even did the Phantom. I started singing the Phantom's part, and Christine, and her friend. And the casting director came out to my mother and was like, do you know, who are you people? Who's your agent? My mom was like, we're never gonna hear from them again. And 2 weeks later, I debuted on Broadway as Little Cosette in the Broadway production of Les Mis.